Hey there, Maple Avenue. So this week, what we're going to be looking at is we are continuing the Middle Ages, and we are moving into something that is called the Magna Carta. This takes place in 1215, and actually deals with the English form of government. And this will be pretty interesting because there's a lot of similarity between the Magna Carta and our U.S. Constitution. Now, this is our learning target for this week. You should be able to, by the end of this week, compare and explain the ideas of the Magna Carta to those of the U.S. Constitution. So how do you know if you learn this? Well, you should be able to explain what the Magna Carta is, use and apply academic words from the primary sources that we're going to look at, and analyze the U.S. Constitution and the Magna Carta. So our first quote, or first idea that we're going to look at this week is actually a quote to kind of set the scene. This quote is from Abraham Lincoln. Now, Abraham Lincoln gave this quote actually right before he became president in 1859, and he was given a speech at a convention. Now, I just want to read this quote, and before we go any further with that, this is Lincoln's purpose of government, what he thinks the Constitution and the purpose of government is, and in this quote shows that. So keep that in mind as we go through the quote. It says, "We the people are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who pervert the Constitution." I think there's three words we need to look at there to help us understand what this quote means. The first is Congress, the second being Constitution, and the third, we have to have an understanding of how Lincoln uses the word pervert. So Congress, we know, is a legislative body. We have a Congress within the United States. We have Congress even within the state of Pennsylvania. So it's people that we vote for that make decisions for us. They usually make laws for us, and things of that sort. The Constitution. Now, this is interesting because when I say Constitution, you can almost apply Constitution to Carta or Charter as well, which are two words that we're going to look at later on. So it's the fundamental principles or established precedents. So previous laws, precedent is like previous standards, according to which a state or other organization is acknowledged to be governed by. So I want you folks to think of it this way. The Constitution is what the people give the right for the governments to do. It's kind of a rule of law, a parameters, the laws for the government itself. They cannot go outside of these laws. Why would you set up a constitution? So that somebody can't overstep their bounds and become too powerful. And our last word is pervert. Now, in this sense, pervert is to alter its original meaning or its original course. So you're distorting something, you're corrupting it. Maybe you have an intention of trying to use a certain word to get your own passion or your own goals done. In this sense, pervert means to alter that original meaning. So coming back to our quote here, it says, "We the people are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who would pervert the Constitution." So here Lincoln says two things. One, we the people are in charge of government. He says we are in charge of both the Congress and the courts. So he's saying we are the boss of Congress and the courts, we the people. That's the first stanza. We see that comma there. Not to overthrow the Constitution, he says, but to overthrow the men who would pervert the Constitution. So with the people, we can't overthrow the Constitution, but we can hold those people accountable who are trying to pervert or change or to disrupt, who are not following the ideas of the Constitution. those people we can overthrow because they have not followed the laws within the Constitution. They have overstepped their bounds. They have um, disrupted the true meaning of what their purpose is, and forgetting that we are their boss, we the people. They aren't the boss of us. We are the boss of them. And they have overstepped their bounds that we've given them in the Constitution. So that's what linking here gets at. I want you guys to find other quotes. If you were to type in quotes on purpose of government, you're going to find a lot of quotes that are similar to Abraham Lincoln's here from other presidents, from other political figures. This idea is very powerful. So you want to look at purpose of government, specifically finding something that relates to a charter or constitution, fundamental principles like that. Also this week, I have another challenge or another, just kind of like a bonus lesson here. And it talks about the Connecticut Quarter. And why does the Connecticut Quarter have this tree on it? You're going to notice I mentioned before that word charter. It's noted as the charter oak. So this quarter and the history of Connecticut comes back to the idea of a charter. And within this, you should be able to answer that question up there. Why does this quarter what does this quarter tree have to do with charters, cartas, and constitutions? The video is about 3.5 minutes in length. It's really interesting stuff. And then our next video that I will have out, we'll talk about our class discussion this week, which is Magna Carta and the Constitution. All right. See you guys in the discussion board.